My hands were shaking so much that I almost dropped the paper. It was early morning. I had just opened the door to pick up the newspaper when I saw it. A white envelope with my name written in bold letters. To Mr. Darrel Lawson. Inside was a divorce petition. My wife, Angela, the woman I had supported for 11 years, the woman whose dreams I had carried on my back, had filed for divorce just 24 hours after becoming the new CEO of a top company. But the part that shocked me the most, at the bottom of the petition, there was a note written in her own handwriting. This is for my future, and you are not part of it. My heart felt like someone squeezed it with iron hands. But before I could even understand what was happening, my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. Darrel, if you sign that divorce paper, everything she hid from you will destroy you. Do not sign anything. We need to meet. I froze. Who was this? What was Angela hiding from me? And why did it sound like I was in danger? As I stared at the message, my doorbell rang. Hard, like someone was punching the door. I walked slowly to the door, my heart beating like a drum in a storm. When I opened it, I saw a black car with tinted windows waiting outside, and two men in suits looking straight at me. One of them said, "Mr. Lawson, please come with us. It's about your wife." Everything inside me screamed run, but before I could even step back, they grabbed my arms. And that is how my nightmare began. To understand why this moment shocked me, you need to know how everything started. The beginning, when life was simple. I met Angela Morrison at the university cafeteria. She was 21, studying business administration. Smart, strong, beautiful, but also very scared of the world. Her dream was simple. Darrel, one day I want to become a CEO, but I don't think anyone will ever give me the chance. I became her biggest supporter. I encouraged her. I built her confidence. I even worked double shifts so she could attend professional courses. We got married at 24. We promised to grow together. We promised to never leave each other behind. Or so I thought. Her rising career. Angela was sharp. Her mind worked like a machine, fast and fearless. Soon she became the operations manager of Metrovale Corporation, a very big tech company in our city. People admired her. Bosses trusted her. And I stayed by her side through it all. I cooked. I cleaned. I paid bills whenever she was too tired. I attended events with her. I cheered for her. I thought we were a team. But slowly, very slowly, her attitude changed. Warning little signs I ignored. It started with small things. She stopped calling me honey. Stopped telling me about her day. Stopped asking for my advice. At first, I thought she was stressed. But then it got worse. When I tried to hug her at night, she would move away and say, "Darrel, please. I need space." When I tried to talk about our marriage, she would say, "Not now. You won't understand." When I asked if something was wrong, she would snap, "Why must you ask so many questions?" But the biggest sign came one evening when she returned from work. Her phone rang. She looked at the caller ID and suddenly stepped outside to answer it. When she came back, I asked, "Who was that?" She replied too quickly, "Nobody," but her face was red. Her hands were trembling, and her eyes were full of fear. Fear of what? Or fear of who? I should have asked more questions. I should have pushed harder. But I trusted her, and that trust was about to break into 1,000 pieces. The night before Angela became CEO, something strange happened. At 2:15 a.m., I woke up and saw her sitting in the living room, talking on the phone in a low whisper. I could barely hear her, but I caught some words. "Don't worry. Tomorrow everything will be in my control. Once I get the seat, he will be out of the way." I held my breath. Who would be out of the way? Was she talking about work? Or was she talking about me? When she noticed I was awake, she quickly ended the call. Her smile was forced when she said, "Go back to sleep, Darrel. Big day tomorrow." I nodded, but something in my heart whispered, "She is hiding something from you." The next morning, the news broke. Angela Morrison Lawson was the new CEO of Metrovale Corporation. People celebrated. Messages poured in. I hugged her and told her I was proud, but she barely hugged me back. Her eyes were cold, empty, and that very night, she packed her bags. When I asked where she was going, she said, "A CEO must stay close to the company. I have to move into the executive apartment." I felt confused. Why couldn't we stay together? Why couldn't she let me celebrate with her? But again, I trusted her. I didn't know I was trusting the wrong person. Now we returned to the present. I was standing in my doorway, held tightly by two unknown men. The divorce papers were still in my hand. My phone buzzed again. A new message from a mysterious number. "Darrel, don't go with them. They are not here to help you. They work for her." Before I could react, one of the men whispered in my ear, "Your wife said you might resist, and she told us exactly what to do with you if you try to run." My blood turned cold. Something was very, very wrong. But then, a loud sound exploded down the street. A second car screeched to a stop. A woman jumped out, shouting, "Darrel, get in the car now if you want to live." The men looked shocked. They turned toward her. I looked closer at her face, and my heart almost stopped, because standing there, calling my name, was a woman I had not seen in 8 years. A woman who once warned me that marrying Angela was dangerous. A woman who disappeared without explanation. Her name was Mila, and the look in her eyes told me one thing. She knew the secret my wife never wanted me to find out. The street was silent for one long second, the kind of silence that feels heavy, like the whole world is holding its breath. Then everything happened at once. The two men who were holding me tightened their grip, their fingers digging deep into my arms. They were strong, much stronger than they looked, and the fear in my chest exploded like a firework. Across the street, the woman who had just shouted my name, Mila, was waving her arms wildly, her eyes wide with panic. "Darrel, move!" she screamed. Her voice cut through the air like a knife. It wasn't just a warning. It was a command. And something in my body obeyed before my brain even understood. I twisted my body sharply and slammed my foot down on one man's shin. He grunted in pain and loosened his grip for a split second, just enough for me to yank my arm free. But the other man reacted fast. He grabbed the back of my shirt and pulled so hard that for a moment I thought the collar would choke me. "Don't let him go," he barked. But Mila was already running toward us like someone racing against time. The second man reached for something inside his jacket, and the fear in my stomach turned ice cold. A gun. No, no, no. My heart jumped into my throat. But before he could pull it out, Mila did something that shocked all of us. She grabbed a metal trash bin on the side of the road and kicked it with all her strength. The bin rolled across the street, crashing into the man's legs and knocking him off balance. He fell sideways with a loud thud. That was my chance. I didn't even think. I ran. My feet hit the ground so fast that it felt like I was flying. My breath was sharp and loud. My legs felt like they would break. Behind me, I heard yelling, "Get him! Don't let him escape." But Mila was already there. She flung open her car door, a silver SUV with the engine still running, and shouted, "Darrel, get in!" I threw myself inside. She jumped into the driver's seat, slammed the door shut, and hit the accelerator so hard my back crashed into the seat. The car shot forward like a bullet. Behind us, the two men ran into the street. One of them pulled out a gun and raised it, and Mila jerked the steering wheel. Bang! The sound echoed through the street. A small hole appeared in the back window, glass cracking like frozen water. "Stay down!" she shouted. I ducked my head as low as I could, my heart pounding harder than it ever had. Mila sped through the streets, taking sharp turns and weaving between cars until the men disappeared behind us. But even after they were gone, my heart didn't slow down, because the real fear, the fear inside me, was only just beginning. We drove for nearly 20 minutes, the city flashing past windows. At last, we reached a quiet neighborhood, a place I had never seen before. The houses were old but clean. The trees were tall and thick, and everything was strangely silent. Mila pulled into the driveway of a small brown house, turned off the engine, and took a deep breath. "All right," she said softly. You're safe for now. Safe. The word felt strange. Like a lie. I slowly lifted my head and stared at her. 8 years. 8 whole years. No calls. No messages. No goodbye. And now she had appeared out of nowhere to save my life? Mila? I whispered. Why are you here? What is happening? And why was my wife trying to? Mila raised her hand. I'll explain everything, she said. But first, we need to get inside. Her voice was calm, but her eyes looked scared. Not scared for herself. Scared for me. We stepped out of the car and entered the small house. The moment the door closed behind us, Mila locked 3 different locks and slid a heavy metal bar across the frame. That was when I knew this wasn't just danger. This was something darker. Something big. Something life-changing. Inside, the air smelled like old books and lemon soap. The living room was small, filled with newspapers, maps, and a large corkboard covered with red strings and photographs. Mila turned to face me. Her hair was shorter now, cut into a tidy bob. Her clothes were simple, but her face was full of years of secrets. Darrel, she said quietly, I'm sorry for coming back like this, but I didn't have a choice. I crossed my arms. What's going on? She sighed deeply. Then she pointed at the corkboard. On it was a giant picture of Metrovale Corporation, Angela's company, the company she just became CEO of. Beside it were pictures of several men and women, faces I didn't recognize. Strings connected them like a spider web. In the center of all those strings was a name, Project Helios. I frowned. What is this? What does it have to do with Angela? And why would she want me out of her life the moment she became CEO? Mila stepped closer to me. Her voice dropped low. Darrel, your wife didn't just become CEO. She took a position she was never supposed to have. My heart skipped. What do you mean? She wasn't promoted, Mila continued. She replaced someone. Replaced who? Mila swallowed hard. Replaced the CEO who died last year in that car accident. I froze. But everyone said it was an accident. It wasn't, Mila cut in. It was planned. And Angela was part of it. My throat tightened. That's impossible. Angela would never. Mila looked me straight in the eyes. Darrel, your wife isn't who you think she is. The room felt colder. My body felt lighter, like my soul was trying to leave it. Mila walked toward the board and tapped a picture of Angela. Angela Morrison Lawson, she said slowly, is involved in something dangerous, something illegal, something deadly. I shook my head hard. No, you're wrong. Angela is many things, but she would never hurt anyone. Darrel, Mila said, her voice trembling with emotion. Angela didn't marry you because she loved you. My entire body went numb. It was like someone had poured ice water into my veins. What are you talking about? I whispered. She married you, Mila said, because you were the key to entering Metrovale. Your father, before he died, worked in the company's secret research department. Everyone who knew him wanted access to what he built. I blinked confused. My father died when I was a child. He wasn't important. Mila shook her head. No, Darrel. Your father created something powerful. Something dangerous. Something people would kill to get. I stepped backward, my breathing uneven. What did he create? Mila turned toward the corkboard. Her fingers touched a red string connected to a picture of a metal briefcase. Then she said 2 words that changed my entire life. The Helios file. The Helios file, Mila explained, was your father's final project before he died. Nobody knew exactly what it contained. But everyone knew this. Whatever was inside, it was worth billions. It could change the world or destroy it. My heart pounded. But what does that have to do with Angela? Mila took a slow breath. Your wife married you because she believed you were the only one who could access your father's old personal key. The biometric lock can only be opened by a blood relative. Blood relative. I felt sick. Angela used me? Yes, Mila said softly. For years. My knees weakened, and I fell onto the couch. The world spun around me like a bad dream, but she never mentioned anything about my father. She never asked about any files. That's because she was waiting, Mila said, waiting for the moment she would have enough power to take the file and make it disappear. I looked up sharply. Disappear? Why would she want that? Mila hesitated. Then she whispered, because the Helios file contains proof that Angela was involved in 3 corporate crimes. My breath caught. And now, Mila continued, that she thinks she can cover everything. I pressed my hands to my head. No, this can't be real. Angela wouldn't. Darrel, Mila said gently, I didn't want to tell you any of this, but Angela filed for divorce for one reason, to remove you from her life before you accidentally discover the truth. My voice was barely a whisper. What truth? Mila closed her eyes, and when she opened them again, her voice was filled with fear. Darrel, your father didn't die in an accident. He was killed. The room went dead silent. Then Mila added, and Angela's people were involved. The world around me felt distant, like I was underwater, hearing everything in slow motion. My father killed? Angela's people involved? My chest tightened. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. Mila, why didn't you tell me this 8 years ago? She looked away. Because 8 years ago, I found out something else. What? Mila's voice shook. Someone inside Metrovale ordered your father's death. When I started digging to find out who, they came after me too. I had to disappear. My heart hammered. So why come back now? She looked directly at me. Because Angela didn't know one thing when she filed for divorce. My eyes narrowed. What thing? Mila stepped closer. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Your father didn't just leave behind the Helios file. She paused. He left behind something else. Something even more powerful. Something only you can use. I swallowed. What is it? Mila leaned in, her voice trembling. Darrel, your father left you a message. A message that reveals the real reason he died. My body went cold. Where is the message? Mila looked toward a locked drawer across the room. In that drawer. But before I give it to you, you must understand this. Your wife is not just trying to divorce you. She is trying to erase everything connected to your father, including you. My blood froze. I stood up slowly. Mila, what does the message say? Mila took a shaky breath. The message says... She turned toward the drawer. Then suddenly, boom, a loud crash shook the house. The front window shattered. Glass flew everywhere. Mila screamed, Darrel, get down! Before I could react, a dark figure stepped through the broken window. Dressed in black, face covered, holding a metal pipe. My heart stopped, because in that split second, I recognized the tattoo on his wrist. It was the same tattoo I had seen on the bodyguard who escorted Angela at her CEO inauguration. He pointed the pipe at us like a weapon, and then he said in a cold voice, Your wife sent her regards. The intruder stepped fully into the living room, boots crunching on broken glass, his pipe raised like a hammer. The moment he spoke, Your wife sent her regards. My whole body went cold. It felt like my heart dropped out of my chest and landed somewhere on the floor. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't blink. I couldn't even think. Angela, my wife, my partner for 11 years. She sent someone to hurt me? Or worse. For one long, painful moment, I couldn't move. But Mila did. Darrel, move, she shouted, grabbing my arm and shoving me behind the sofa. The pipe swung through the space where my head had been just 1 second earlier. There was a loud crack, and pieces of wooden shelf exploded across the room. The man stepped forward again, his mask hiding everything except his eyes, cold, emotionless, and focused on me. Mila didn't hesitate. She grabbed a heavy lamp from the table and hurled it at the intruder with surprising strength. It hit him square on the shoulder, and he stumbled, but he didn't fall. He just turned toward her, and that's when I realized he wasn't here for both of us. He was here for me. The man swung the pipe again, aiming directly for Mila's head. She ducked, grabbed the metal bar from the door, and raised it like a sword. The sound of metal hitting metal echoed through the small living room as the two weapons clashed again and again. "Darrel," Mila shouted between hits. "Run to the back. Now." But I couldn't leave her. Not after she risked everything to save my life. I grabbed the nearest object I could find, a heavy book, and threw it at the intruder. It hit his mask. He turned toward me, furious. Now I had his attention. "Hit him again," Mila yelled. But before I could throw anything else, the man lunged forward and grabbed my shirt. His grip tightened around my neck as he slammed me back against the wall. My vision blurred. I gasped for air. His voice was low and deadly. "Your wife wants the file. Tell me where it is, and I'll make this quick." My heart pounded so hard I could hear in my ears. "Helios file. Angela wanted it badly enough to send someone to kill me. But I didn't even have the file. I didn't even know where it was. I don't know." I choked out. The man lifted the pipe with his free hand, ready to swing. But before he could bring it down, crack! Mila slammed the metal bar into his ribs. He roared in pain and stumbled backward. "Run!" Mila screamed again. But I didn't. I grabbed the pipe he dropped. For the first time, I was holding a weapon. And this time, I wasn't helpless. The man lunged at me again. I swung the pipe with both hands. It wasn't graceful. It wasn't strong. But it was enough. The pipe hit his shoulder. He groaned and staggered. Mila rushed beside me, and together we pushed the intruder back toward the broken window. He fought hard, swinging, kicking, grabbing anything he could. But Mila was fierce. Her strikes were controlled, sharp, practiced, like she had been preparing for this day for a long time. Finally, after a hard shove, the intruder lost his balance and fell out through the window, landing on the grass outside. But he didn't stay down. He got up slowly, painfully, and pointed at me. His voice came out like a hiss. "This isn't over. Your wife wants that file, and she always gets what she wants." Then he limped toward a dark car parked near the corner and sped away. The house fell silent. The only sound was my shaking breath and Mila locking every door again with trembling hands. I sat on the floor, my back against the wall, trying not to fall apart. My throat burned, my hands shook, and my mind was spiraling. Angela, my wife, the woman who once cried in my arms, who once held my hand, who once whispered dreams to me at night. She wanted me dead? My voice cracked as I whispered, "Why, Mila? Why is she doing this to me?" Mila knelt in front of me, her eyes soft but filled with worry. "Because you are the last piece she needs," she said. "You are the only person who can unlock the Helios file. And now that she is CEO, she doesn't need you anymore." I pressed my hand against my mouth. I felt sick. All these years, all my love, all my loyalty, was it all just a tool to her? Mila continued. "And Angela knows that once the truth comes out, everyone, including the government, will come after her. She needs the file gone. Completely gone." I looked at her. "But I still don't know where it is." Mila nodded. "I do." My heart jumped. "What? How?" She walked toward the locked drawer, the same drawer she looked at earlier, and opened it with a small silver key she had been wearing on a necklace. Inside the drawer was a black envelope. Old, dusty, edges worn. She carried it to me carefully, like it was something fragile. "Your father gave this to me," Mila said softly, "before he died." My eyes widened. "You knew my father?" She nodded. "I didn't tell you because it would have put you in danger. But I worked under him. I was part of his research team. We were like family." I stared at the envelope, my hands trembling as I held it. "What's in here?" I whispered. Mila sat down slowly. "A coded location. The place where the Helios file is hidden. And," she added after a long breath, "your father's final recorded message." My chest tightened. "My father spoke to me?" "Yes. He recorded it a few days before he died. He knew they were coming for him." My eyes filled with tears. All my life, I had wished for one more moment with him. One more word. One more memory. Now there was a message. My fingers shook as I began to open the envelope, but before I could pull out the tape or papers inside, bang, bang, bang. Someone pounded on the front door. Mila froze. "That's not him," she whispered. We stayed silent. Another loud bang. "Open the door!" a deep voice shouted. My heart stopped. "It's the police." "Police? How'd they find us?" Mila backed away slowly. "Don't trust them," she whispered. "If Angela already has control of Metrovale, she has influence, power, money. She can buy anyone." The door banged again, harder this time. "Open up now. This is a warrant search." "Darrel," Mila whispered urgently. "If they get inside, they'll take the envelope. You have to hide it." I looked around in panic. Where could I hide something so important? The knocks grew louder. A voice shouted, "Last warning." Mila grabbed my wrist. "Listen to me. Your father trusted you. I trust you. What is inside that envelope will change everything." My heartbeat quickened. The police rammed the door. Wood cracked. "Darrel," Mila yelled. "Decide now." The door burst open, and 4 officers stormed inside with guns raised. "Hand where we can see them," one shouted. My blood ran cold. Mila slowly lifted her hands, but her eyes stayed locked on mine. She mouthed silently, "Hide it, now." The officers rushed toward us. I had 1 second. Only one. And in that 1 second, I made a choice that would change my life forever. I shoved the envelope inside my shirt and pressed it against my stomach, hidden under my clothes. An officer grabbed me immediately and pushed me to the wall. "Where is it?" he barked. I acted confused. "Where is what?" He pressed harder. "Don't play dumb." But I didn't break. I couldn't. Not now. Not with my father's message under my shirt. Another officer restrained Mila. "Search the house," he ordered. They tore the living room apart, opened drawers, smashed furniture, ripped apart cushions. But they didn't find the envelope. After several minutes, the lead officer turned back to me. His voice was slow, controlled. "Your wife has reported you missing," he said. "She wants you returned safely." I felt sick inside. Safely. The same woman who sent a killer after me was now pretending to be worried? The officer added, "You're coming with us." My heart dropped. "No," Mila said firmly. "He's not going anywhere. You have no reason." The officer shoved her aside. "Stay out of this." 2 officers grabbed my arms and began dragging me toward the door. "Mila!" I shouted, trying to fight them off. "Darrel, don't go with them," she yelled back. "I don't have a choice." I cried. I turned my head one last time as they pulled me outside. Mila was struggling against the officer restraining her, her face filled with fear. And then she screamed something I will never forget. "Darrel, whatever you do, do not open the envelope until you're safe." Her voice echoed in my ears as they forced me into the police car. The door slammed shut. The locks clicked, and the car began to drive. Away from Mila. Away from safety. Away from the only person telling me the truth. I swallowed hard, feeling the envelope hidden against my chest. Somewhere inside that small piece of paper was a secret my wife would kill to destroy, a secret my father died to protect. And as the police car drove deeper into the dark city, I realized something terrifying. I wasn't being rescued. I was being delivered, straight into Angela's hands. The police car drove in silence, a cold, heavy silence that pressed against my chest like a weight I couldn't lift. I sat in the back seat, hands cuffed in front of me, my wrists aching from how tightly the metal dug into my skin. Outside the window, the city lights flashed by in long, blurry streaks, yellow, blue, white, all blending together like a dream sinking into darkness. But nothing felt like a dream. Not the broken window, not the masked man, not the police dragging me away, not the envelope hidden under my shirt, pressed against my chest like a heartbeat. Everything was too real, and everything was getting worse. The officer driving the car was a tall man with short gray hair and a face that looked like it hadn't smiled in years. He didn't turn his head. Not once. Not when I spoke. Not when I shifted. Not when I tried to meet his eyes in the mirror. He just drove. Focused. Cold. Silent. The officer in the passenger seat kept glancing back at me. Not with concern. Not with pity. But with something I recognized instantly. Fear. Not fear for me. Fear of me. As if he had been told that the man sitting in the back seat was dangerous. A threat. A problem. A target. Finally, after what felt like hours, the gray-haired officer spoke. "Your wife is worried," he said flatly. "She wants to make sure you're safe." I almost laughed. Safe. My wife had sent a masked man to hit me with a metal pipe. She had men watching my house. She had filed for divorce the moment she became CEO. Safe? No. She didn't want me safe. She wanted me silent. I cleared my throat. I wasn't missing. I said, "I didn't ask for help. I didn't call you." The officer beside him responded, "Your wife said you were behaving strangely." My heart dropped. Behaving strangely? What did that even mean? I wasn't. "We don't need your explanation." The passenger cut in. His tone was sharp, almost angry. Something inside me twisted. These weren't officers trying to help. They weren't doing a normal welfare check. They weren't even following protocol. No one had asked me basic questions. No one had told me my rights. No one had asked why I was bleeding or why my shirt was cut or why there was broken glass stuck in my hair. They didn't care. They had one job. Take me where Angela wanted me. My stomach tightened. I spoke again, this time quieter. "Where are you taking me?" Neither man answered. Not a word. Not even a glance. That silence told me everything. After almost 30 minutes, we left the busy parts of the city and entered an area I had never seen before. No houses, no stores, no streetlights, just warehouses, fences, and long empty roads that stretched into darkness. My pulse quickened. "This isn't the police station," I whispered. The officer in the passenger seat gave the smallest smile. "No," he said, "it isn't." My whole body went cold. I leaned forward as far as the cuffs allowed. "Where are you taking me? Answer me." The driver didn't turn his head, but he spoke one sentence that made my knees go weak. "To the person who reported you." My breathing stopped. "Angela, this wasn't a police escort. This was a delivery. I was being delivered to my wife, the woman who wanted me gone." The car finally stopped in front of a large metal warehouse painted black and surrounded by tall fences. There were no signs, no lights, no people, nothing, just a cold wind pushing dust along the ground. The passenger opened his door first. Then he opened mine. "Get out." I didn't move. "Get out." His hand tightened around his taser. My heart hammered. Slowly, I stepped out, my feet hitting the gravel. "Walk," he ordered. I walked. They led me toward a tall metal door. The gray-haired officer knocked twice. A sliding panel opened, revealing a pair of dark eyes. A man inside whispered, "He's here." The lock clicked. The door opened. A long hallway stretched inside, lit only by one flickering bulb. I hesitated. The passenger shoved me forward. "Move." I swallowed hard and stepped into the warehouse. The door slammed shut behind me. The sound echoed like thunder. Inside, the air was cold and smelled like oil and dust. The officers guided me down the hallway until we reached a large open room with metal floors and scattered crates. And there, standing in the center of the room, was a woman wearing a dark red suit. Her back was turned. Her hair was tied in a tight bun. Her posture straight, confident, hard. But even without seeing her face, I knew who she was. "Angela," I whispered. Slowly, she turned around. Her expression was calm. Too calm. Not angry. Not sad. Not confused. Calm like someone who already knew how this night would end. She dismissed the officers with a wave of her hand. They immediately stepped outside and closed the door behind them. Now it was just the two of us in that cold, empty room. Angela walked toward me, her heels clicking slowly on the metal floor. "I'm glad they found you," she said softly. Her voice was sweet, but not warm. Sweet like poison honey. I stared at her. You sent someone to attack me, I said. And now you're pretending to be worried? She smiled politely. I don't know what you're talking about, Darrel. My fists clenched. You filed for divorce. You disappeared. You sent men to grab me. Why are you doing this? Angela sighed as if I were a child asking too many questions. Darrel, she said gently, you're making this harder than it needs to be. Harder? My anger rose. What do you want from me? She tilted her head. Your cooperation. My cooperation for what? Angela took a step closer. So we can finally end this nightmare. For both of us. I laughed bitterly. By killing me? She didn't blink. That depends on you. My heart slammed against my ribs. Angela walked closer until she was only 2 feet away. Then she leaned in and spoke in a soft whisper. Where is the Helios file? My stomach dropped. This was it. The truth. The real Angela. The woman who had been pretending for years, finally showing her face. I swallowed hard. I don't have it. She smiled. Not kindly. Slowly. Like a wolf baring its teeth. Oh, Darrel, she said softly. I know you don't have it yet. Her eyes darkened. But Mila does. I froze. Angela stepped behind me, speaking near my ear. I've been looking for that woman for 8 years. And now, thanks to you, I know exactly where she is hiding. My breath stopped. No, I whispered. Yes, Angela said. And once I get the file, this will all be over. My chest tightened with panic. Angela, please, you don't know what you're doing. She walked in front of me again, crossing her arms. Oh, I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm protecting myself, protecting my company, protecting my future. She raised her hand and touched the side of my face. The touch felt cold. And unfortunately, Darrel, she said softly, you were never part of that future. Something inside me cracked. The woman I loved had never loved me back. Not even once. Her voice lowered. Tell me where Mila is. Tell me where she hid the file. And maybe, just maybe, I won't have to hurt you. My jaw tightened. I'll never help you. Angela sighed. A shame. She snapped her fingers. The metal door opened, and 2 large men stepped inside, both wearing black gloves. My heart dropped. Angela pointed at me. Take him to the lower room. Make him talk. The men grabbed my arms and lifted me off the ground. Angela, I yelled, you don't have to do this. But she turned away, her voice calm and cold. Oh, Darrel, I already did. The men began dragging me across the metal floor. I fought. I kicked. I tried to break free. But they were too strong. As they pulled me toward the hallway leading to the lower level, I shouted one last thing. You'll never get the file. Mila already told me the truth. Angela froze. Her body stiffened. Slowly, she turned her head. Her eyes burned with something new, fear. And then she whispered, What truth did she tell you? I didn't answer. I didn't need to, because the fear in her eyes told me one thing. Angela didn't know what my father's message revealed. And that ignorance, that missing piece, terrified her more than anything else. Wait, she shouted suddenly. But the men continued dragging me. Bring him back. Now. They didn't hear her in time, because right then, boom, a massive explosion shook the warehouse, sending dust and fire through the corridor. The ground shook, lights flickered, metal beams fell. The men holding me stumbled and lost their grip. I fell to the floor, coughing. Angela screamed. What was that? Another explosion. Closer this time. The lights went out. The alarms blared. And in the flashing red emergency light, I saw a silhouette enter the hallway. A woman, holding a weapon, moving with purpose. My heart jumped. Mila! I shouted. She looked straight at me. Darrel, get up. We're leaving. Angela screamed. Stop her. Don't let her take him. Everything erupted into chaos. Smoke, fire, shouting, footsteps thundering. Mila ran toward me. Angela lunged forward. The guards rushed in. And I stood in the middle, holding the envelope hidden under my shirt, while the entire warehouse collapsed into madness around me. The world around me was pure chaos, red emergency lights flashing on and off, smoke rolling through the hallway like a gray storm, alarms screaming from every direction. I heard shouting, men running, Angela calling orders, metal crashing to the floor. But through all the noise, one voice cut through everything. "Darrel, move." Mila. Her voice was sharp, urgent, filled with fear and determination. I pushed myself off the ground, coughing through the smoke as she sprinted toward me. Behind her, sparks flew from a broken wire, and flames started licking up the wall. The warehouse was falling apart. "Mila." I gasped, but she grabbed my arm before I could finish. "We don't have time." Angela called reinforcements. "They'll seal the exits in minutes." She pulled me forward, but before we could get far, the ground shook violently. Boom! Another explosion. This one closer. Much closer. A shock wave blasted down the hallway, lifting us off our feet. We hit the ground hard. Dust fell from the ceiling, and somewhere behind us, a heavy metal beam crashed the floor. The building groaned like it was alive and in pain. I pushed myself up, dizzy. "Mila, are you okay?" She nodded, coughing. "I'm fine, but we need to go. Now." She pointed down the hallway. But then we froze, because standing at the far end, blocking the exit, were two guards in black suits. Large, serious, armed. One aimed a weapon at us. "There they are." Mila pulled me behind a stack of metal crates. "Stay down," she whispered. The guards moved quickly, their footsteps echoing as they approached. I pressed my back against a crate, my breathing uneven, my heart punching my ribs. "Mila," I whispered, "we're trapped." She shook her head. "No, we still have one chance." She reached into her pocket and pulled out something small and metal, a round device with a button on top. "What is that?" I whispered. "Smoke charge," she said. "What does it do?" She looked at me with a faint smile. "It saves our lives." The guards drew closer. 5 steps away. 4, 3, "Ready?" Mila whispered. "No." "Good," she said, "because neither am I." And she slammed her thumb down on the button. The device hissed. A thick cloud of white smoke exploded outward, flooding the hallway so fast that even I couldn't see my own hands. "Go!" Mila shouted. She grabbed my arm and pulled me through the smoke. My eyes burned. My lungs hurt. I couldn't see anything. But Mila kept moving, guiding me like she had memorized every step. Behind us, the guards coughed, choked, and shouted. "I can't see." Where did they go? The smoke swallowed their voices. We ran through the hallway, half blind, stumbling over debris. "Left!" Mila shouted. I turned sharply. "Down the stairs." We rushed into a stairwell lit by flashing red lights. The metal steps rattled under our feet. "Where are we going?" I yelled. "To the lower storage bay. There's an old delivery exit. If we reach it before Angela's men do, we survive. And if we don't..." Mila didn't answer. Her silence said everything. We reached the bottom of the stairs and burst through a door into a massive underground room. It was dark, cold, filled with crates, forklifts, and shadows that stretched across the walls. "There!" Mila pointed to a metal gate at the far end. "That's the exit." We sprinted across the concrete floor. My legs burned. My lungs felt like fire. But I didn't stop. Not when freedom was right ahead. Not when Angela was upstairs ordering men to find us. We reached the gate. Mila dropped to her knees and began working on the control panel. "Sparks cut the power," she muttered. "I have to override the lock manually." I turned to watch the room behind us. It was quiet. Too quiet. "Mila, hurry." "I'm trying." I swallowed hard. Every second felt like a countdown to something terrible. Suddenly, a loud metal clang echoed across the room. I whipped around. A shadow moved behind the crates. "Mila, we're not alone." She didn't look up. "Just stall them." "Stall them how?" I saw movement again. Footsteps. Soft, slow, hunting footsteps. Mila kept typing. "Hurry." I whispered, A figure stepped out from behind the crates. Tall, broad-shouldered, wearing the same black uniform as Angela's guards. Not just any guard. The same one from my house. The one with the tattoo. The one who had tried to attack me. His face twisted into a wicked smile. "Well, well," he said, "running from your wife again?" Mila stood up instantly, placing herself between me and the guard. "You're not getting him," she said. The guard chuckled. "You think you can stop me?" "Yes," Mila said calmly, "because you're forgetting something." "What?" Mila pointed to the ceiling. I looked up and saw a metal hook holding a huge crate dangling directly above the guard. Then Mila whispered, "You're standing under the wrong box." She slammed her fist into a wall-mounted release button. The hook clicked. Thud. The crate fell. The guard dove to the side, barely escaping. The crate shattered against the floor, sending splinters everywhere. The guard scrambled back to his feet. His smile was gone. He was angry now. Very angry. "You're dead," he roared. "Run!" Mila shouted. We sprinted toward the exit. But before we got far, a thunderous slam echoed behind us. The guard had thrown something. A large metal pole. It clattered across the floor and hit Mila's ankle. She fell hard. "Mila!" I shouted. I rushed to her side, helping her up, but the guard was already charging toward us, eyes burning with rage. We had seconds, maybe less. Then, click, the metal gate behind us unlocked. Mila pushed me. "Go, Darrel. Run." "No, not without you." She shoved me again, harder. "I'll be right behind you." "Go." I hesitated. Just one moment. One stupid moment. And the guard reached us. He grabbed Mila by the arm and yanked her backward. She hit the ground with a cry. "No!" I shouted. I lunged toward them, but the guard swung his fist and hit me across the face. The world spun. I fell to my knees. My vision blurred. Through the haze, I saw the guard lift Mila by her collar and press her against a crate. "Where's the file?" he growled. Mila spat in his face. He wiped his cheek slowly. "You'll regret that." He lifted a metal tool from the floor. I staggered to my feet, my head throbbing. "Stop!" I shouted. He turned toward me. "Or what?" he sneered. My heart pounded. I reached into my shirt. My fingers touched the envelope. My father's message. My last connection to the truth. And the guard saw it. His eyes widened. "That's it," he whispered. "That's the envelope the boss wants." "Angela." He took a step forward. I stepped back. He smiled. "Give it to me, or your little friend here won't survive the next minute." I froze. My mind raced. If I gave it to him, Angela won. If I didn't, Mila would suffer. And if I attacked him, I might lose both. The decision crushed me. Mila met my eyes. Her voice was broken, but steady. "Don't give it to him." I shook my head. "I can't let him hurt you." "Darrel," she whispered, tears forming in her eyes. "Your father trusted you. If you give them that envelope, everything he died for will be for nothing." My throat tightened. "I won't let you die." She shook her head again. "This isn't about me." The guard pressed the tool to her neck. Mila winced. My hands trembled around the envelope. My father's words. Whatever he left for me, whatever he wanted me to know, it was here, right here, in my hands. And I had to choose between saving his legacy and saving Mila's life. The guard growled. "Last chance." I took a slow breath, a painful breath, a breath heavy with fear. Then I said, "Fine." The guard smirked. "I knew you'd make the right choice. But not the choice you think." I threw the envelope toward the other side of the room. The guard's eyes widened as he let go of Mila and ran after it. "Now, Mila, go." I grabbed her hand and pulled her toward the exit. We ran to the metal gate just as the guard spotted us and screamed in rage. "No. Stop them." The gate slammed shut behind us. We sprinted into a long service tunnel. Lights flickered above us. Dust fell from the ceiling. Fire alarms wailed. Somewhere behind us, Angela shouted orders, and the guard yelled my name. Darrel. Mila limped beside me, breathing hard. I looked at her ankle. It was swollen. Badly. Can you keep going? She nodded, even though pain twisted her face. Just keep running. We raced through the tunnel toward a bright light at the far end. The exit. Freedom. Safety. But when we reached the final door and burst outside, we didn't find safety. We found headlights. 6 black SUVs surrounding the exit. Dozens of armed men. And standing in front of them, Angela, her red suit glowing under the lights. Her eyes burning with hatred. She pointed at us. Don't let them escape. Mila whispered, No, we're trapped. But I wasn't looking at the men. I was looking at Angela, because she was holding something in her hand. Something familiar. Something terrifying. The envelope. The guard had brought it to her. My father's message. The truth. The secret. Everything he wanted to tell me was now in Angela's hands. And she smiled at me slowly. Game over, Darrel. The men stepped forward, aiming their weapons. Mila grabbed my hand tightly. Don't let go, she whispered. I squeezed her hand. I won't. Angela raised her hand. Take them. Men rushed toward us. And just when I thought there was no escape left, a loud engine roared behind us. We turned. A motorcycle burst through the shadows, its headlights blinding. The rider skidded to a stop beside us, wearing a black helmet. They shouted, Get on! Both of you. Mila's eyes widened. No way it can't be. We didn't have time to ask. The armed men charged. Angela screamed, Stop them! Now! The rider reached out. Darrel, Mila, now or never. Mila grabbed the back seat. I grabbed her hand. We jumped on the motorcycle. The rider slammed the throttle. The bike roared like thunder. Angela screamed, No! Don't let them escape. Bullets tore through the air. My heart nearly exploded. The warehouse behind us went up in flames. And we sped into the darkness, with death chasing our wheels. Whoever the rider was, they had just saved our lives. But as we raced away, one terrifying truth sank in. Angela now had the envelope, and whatever was inside it was about to destroy everything. The motorcycle flew down the dark highway, its engine roaring so loudly it sounded like thunder tearing through the night. The cold wind slapped my face. My heart beat so fast I could barely breathe. Behind us, Angela's SUVs swerved onto the road, their headlights slicing through the darkness like angry eyes hunting us down. Hold on, the rider shouted. Mila tightened her grip around my waist. I held the rider's jacket with shaking hands. For a moment, I dared to hope we were safe. But then, more headlights appeared behind the first row of SUVs. Angela had sent everyone. We were outnumbered, outpowered, outchased, but the rider didn't slow down. They pushed the motorcycle harder, faster, until the world became a blur. Who are you? I shouted over the wind. The rider didn't answer. Not yet. Instead, they shouted, I'll explain once we're off the road. After 20 terrifying minutes, the rider made a sudden sharp turn onto a narrow dirt path that twisted between tall trees. Branches slapped our shoulders. Rocks kicked up behind the wheels. The bike skidded and bounced, but the rider controlled it with perfect skill. Are they still following? Mila yelled. I looked back. Headlights flashed between the trees. Yes! I shouted. Not for long, the rider said. They pressed a button on the motorcycle's dashboard. A hidden panel opened. A cloud of thick black smoke burst from the back of the bike, spreading across the path like fog. Angela's SUVs tried to follow, but the moment they hit the smoke cloud, their engines coughed, sputtered, and died. All of them, one by one. They skidded to a stop. Doors burst open. Men jumped out, coughing and shouting. But the engines were dead, completely dead. We kept going until the headlights were gone and the forest swallowed every sound. Finally, we emerged onto an open field. The rider slowed the bike and came to a stop near a hilltop. The engine went silent. The night became still again. Only our heavy breathing remained. We all climbed off the bike. My legs trembled so badly I almost fell. Are you okay? I asked Mila. She nodded weakly. Her ankle was still swollen, but she was alive. I turned to the rider. Who are you? I asked again. The rider reached up, unclipped the helmet, and pulled it off. Mila gasped. I froze. My heart almost stopped, because standing before us was someone we both thought was gone forever. A man with familiar eyes. Kind eyes. Eyes I had seen in old photographs my entire childhood. Dad. I whispered. The man nodded. Hello, Darrel. My knees almost gave out. My father's alive? Mila stepped forward slowly, her eyes wide with disbelief. But we all thought you died. My father, the man I had mourned for years, smiled sadly. I let the world believe that, he said. It was the only way to protect you. My throat tightened. Me? Protect me from what? He looked toward the distant forest, where Angela's men were still lost in the dark. From the people who killed my research team. From Angela's organization. From Metrovale's secret council. My breath stopped. Mila whispered, You knew about Project Helios from the start. He nodded, and I knew they would do anything to find the file. I swallowed. Dad, Angela has the envelope. He shook his head. No, she doesn't. I blinked. What? But she was holding it. He smiled faintly. That envelope she had, a decoy, filled with blank papers. My eyes widened. I reached under my shirt and felt the real envelope, the one I had hidden. You switched them? I asked. He nodded. I got close enough during the explosion in the warehouse. She never noticed. My father walked toward me slowly. Darrel, everything that happened, everything you survived, led to this moment. He placed his hand on my shoulder. Open it. My hands trembled as I opened the envelope. Inside were two things. A USB drive. A folded paper with my father's handwriting. I swallowed hard and unfolded the paper. The message began. My son, if you are reading this, it means I could not stay to protect you myself. My vision blurred with tears. Mila moved closer, reading over my shoulder. The Helios file contains the names of everyone connected to the corporate crimes inside Metrovale. More than you know, more than the public could imagine. My father took a slow breath. Yes, he said softly. Angela is on that list. But there is something bigger. Someone bigger. Someone Angela serves. Someone bigger? I looked up. Dad, who is she working for? My father took the USB drive from my hand and held it up. All your answers are inside this. He pointed to a small farmhouse far across the field. We go there. We plug this in. We finish this. But before we could move, a gunshot echoed through the night. Bang. We all froze. Another shot. Bang. Sparks flew off the metal frame of the motorcycle. Mila grabbed my arm. They found us. Figures emerged from the dark, dozens of them, carrying flashlights and weapons. Angela stepped forward, her red suit glowing under the moonlight. Her voice was ice. Give me the file, Darrel. My father stepped in front of me. You'll have to go through me first. Angela smirked. With pleasure. She raised her hand. Her men took aim. I squeezed the envelope. I held the USB. The truth was in my hands. And Angela would kill all of us before she let that truth leave this field. I whispered to my father. What do we do? He whispered back. We run, and we trust that the world is ready to hear the truth. He grabbed my arm. Darrel. Yes. His voice softened. I'm proud of you. 3 words I had wanted all my life. Then he pulled a small device from his pocket and threw it on the ground. A blinding flash exploded outward. Angela screamed, Get them! But the flash created a wall of white light that swallowed everything. I felt someone grab my hand, Mila, and then another hand grabbed my shoulder, my father, and the world spun. For a moment, I felt weightless. Then, everything went black. I woke up in a small cabin. Birds chirped. Sunlight peeked through the windows. The air smelled like pine. I sat up dizzy. Dad! I whispered. I heard voices outside. I stepped out. Mila sat on a wooden bench, her ankle wrapped. She looked tired but alive. And beside her, my father, alive, safe. "Oh, morning," he said with a smile. My eyes watered. "Dad, what happens now?" He held up the USB. "Now we expose them." And we did. We uploaded the Helios file to government agencies, news networks, international oversight groups. Names were revealed. Crimes exposed. Secrets destroyed. Arrests were made globally. And Angela? She ran. The entire world was looking for her. But she disappeared. Vanished into the shadows she once ruled. My father, Mila, and I watched the news together. "We're safe now," Mila said softly. My father nodded. "For now," he replied. I turned to him. "What do you mean, for now?" He sighed deeply. "Darrel, there's one more name on the Helios list that hasn't been caught yet." My stomach tightened. "Who?" He looked at me with serious eyes. "The one Angela was working for. The real mastermind. The person who wanted the file the most." "Who is it?" He whispered. "We don't know yet." A cold chill ran down my spine. "So what happens next?" I asked. My father put his arm around my shoulder. "We prepare," he said. "And we wait." Mila smiled faintly. "And whatever comes next, we face it together." I nodded. For the first time in my life, I knew exactly who I was. Not Angela's husband. Not a scared man running from shadows. I was the son of a man who fought for truth. And the truth was finally out. The world had changed. Our lives had changed. But one thing remained clear. The story wasn't over. It was only the beginning. If you love this story, subscribe to this channel to support our growth.